Solar by Green Greg here, and today we're going to talk about SunPower, a solar icon and pioneer, once valued at billions of dollars, has filed for bankruptcy. So what happened? Let's talk about it. So first of all, SunPower was incorporated in 1985. Dr. Richard Swanson is the co-founder, and he was a professor at Stanford for electrical engineering. And he did a lot of research even prior to 1985 on solar PV. And he's really the brains behind the SunPower PV panel architecture. So back in 2007, when I entered the solar industry, SunPower introduced a 315 watt solar panel with solar cells that had an efficiency rating of 22%. And this was incredible. Their next closest competitor was Sanyo at 215 watts. Now, most other companies, though, were doing 165 watt or 185 watt solar panels. And those lower wattage solar panels were a problem because homeowners did not have enough roof space to put as many solar panels as they needed to cover their electric bill, or at least make a significant impact. So having a 315 watt solar panel was amazing. And it took the solar industry about 8 years to catch up to having a 315 watt solar panel. So SunPower was way ahead of its time. It had incredible efficiency compared to anybody else. And so SunPower, they formed an elite dealer network, which was very hard to get into. And they tried to become an elite, more boutique type solar company. As I mentioned, they have the highest efficiency solar modules. Even the following models, they were always way ahead of their competition. SunPower was also the innovator of the 25-year bumper-to-bumper warranty. Back then, most other solar companies had a 10 or 12-year warranty only. And in 2006, SunPower acquired PowerLight. They were a solar designer and installer for large projects such as utility scale projects where you have thousands of acres of solar panels. And SunPower, along with First Solar, were among the first in America to do utility scale solar projects. And this acquisition made sense because it helped spur demand for SunPower solar modules. However, as time went on, as you'll see here in my chart, back in 2010, solar modules were $1.96 a watt. And then they dropped in 2022 to 39 cents a watt. That's an 80% drop in price. And so here's what happened. A lot of the imports from Asia were undercutting SunPower and other American and European solar module manufacturers. But particularly China was dumping solar modules here at a very low price. And this put a lot of financial pressure on the American and European manufacturers. And you'll see here, by 2022, China has about 78% of the world production of solar PV modules. The United States is down to 1.9%. Now, 2022 is the latest data I have. This has gotten a little bit better with the Inflation Reduction Act. Some of the solar production is coming back to America, but still, China has dominated this market and has flooded the market with low-priced solar modules. And this has caused a lot of companies to have to try to cut costs, lay off people, ship production overseas, which, by the way, SunPower did do that as well. But a lot of companies just were driven out of business. And so I found this very interesting article that talks about how, solar PV technology was actually invented in America back in the 1950s. And how do we let China dominate solar PV manufacturing? This is a worthwhile read, and I'll leave a link to it in the comments and description. And so fast forward to 2020, with the dropping solar prices and dropping profit margins, SunPower decides to spin off the solar manufacturing business into a separate company called Maxeon. In 2021, SunPower tries to pivot again, and they acquire Blue Raven Solar, which is a residential solar company, and they're trying to get out of the large commercial solar business, again, because of low profit margins. So in 2022, SunPower pivoted again, and they sold their commercial and industrial solar business to Total Energies. I believe this was a division of Total Oil, the French oil company. And I believe, by the way, Total Oil also took a stake in SunPower. So again, they're trying to pivot. They're trying to find financial stability. But fast forward to 2024, and SunPower stock plunges after disclosing they have to restate their earnings for 2022 and 2023. So the prior 2 years. And this is a big red flag. Of course, investors are concerned about the financial stability of the company. And sometimes, there's some innocent, misposting of some financials. But sometimes it's somebody in the finance department trying to help make the company look better financially than it actually is. And that eventually catches up to you. So they have to repost these earnings. And I'm not saying that SunPower did this purposely, but it was bad news for the stock market and bad news for the company, unfortunately. And it shook the confidence in SunPower. So then fast forward to July of this year, and SunPower announced to be no longer supporting leases and power purchase agreements. And by the way, with the rising interest rates, which also put pressure on SunPower and a lot of solar companies, leases and power purchase agreements are ways to help homeowners get solar without any big cash down payment and have lower monthly payments. I don't necessarily like these options, by the way, but that's another video. If you read here what I have underlined in red, they're not countersigning any other proposals, and they're halt shipments of any more product. But what's more alarming is the last two lines. If you read here what I have underlined in red, they're not countersigning any other proposals, and they're halt shipments of any more product. But what's most alarming is these last two lines I've underlined, which states that even product that's already been delivered, they're unable to support installation services and funding. So they don't even have money to actually install the product that's already on a job site. So that was a big red flag. And at this point, the writing was pretty much on the wall. And so fast forward a couple weeks, and SunPower filed bankruptcy Chapter 11, and SunPower intends to sell Blue Raven and some other assets to complete Solaria. Now, I should mention, by the way, that SunPower is in Chapter 11, so any sale of assets would have to be approved by the court and the trustee. So this has not happened yet. However, I do think it's an optimistic sign that there will be some continuity for the homeowners who bought SunPower and for the SunPower employees. So I do think it's a good sign that there is somebody that's willing to buy some of the assets. So here's my conclusion. SunPower is actually a great company, and they have great products and actually great customer service. And this is in sharp contrast to some other companies who had crummy products and crummy service. So I think the main thing about SunPower is they were higher priced, they're a premium product than a lot of the competitors. And homeowners basically were not willing to pay the premium when they saw other options that were lower priced. Now, homeowners don't always go with the lowest price option, but there's only a certain amount of premium that they're willing to pay, because a homeowner is looking for the quickest payback and the most savings from the solar system. So unfortunately, despite SunPower trying to pivot and change their business model, they just could not find financial stability. And that's such a shame, unfortunately. But I am optimistic that Complete Solaria wants to buy some of the assets. And again, I think that'll be a positive for the homeowners and for the employees of SunPower in those divisions. So we'll have to see what happens. But we call this business the solar coaster because there's a lot of ups and downs, okay? There's a sharp increase in sales and there's a sharp drop in sales. And although, solar is the fastest growing source of electrical generation in the world, both in America and elsewhere, it does have a lot of peaks and valleys, okay? And so, unfortunately, there's some companies that won't make it, unfortunately. And some companies are very good companies like SunPower. So I'm sad to see them go. And by the way, I've never been a SunPower dealer. I have no financial interest in SunPower, but I still hate to see them go because, again, I think they were doing a good job. It just was a matter of the price premium that the homeowners were not willing to pay. So now I'll take a few questions. So now I'll answer a few questions. So is SunPower out of business? No, SunPower is not out of business, at least not yet. They filed Chapter 11, and Chapter 11 gives the company a chance to restructure, settle some debts, sell some assets, and perhaps survive as a smaller company. I don't know what assets are left after it sells those divisions, though, to complete Solaria. So we'll have to see. What happens to SunPower customers? Well, the customers will be just fine. They'll get up the next day, make their coffee, and have their breakfast. No, but in all seriousness, I do think there's still a dealer network that could help service the system. And I think things will be okay. Just take a deep breath and we'll just have to see where the dust settles. What if I'm supposed to have a SunPower solar system installed? Yeah, if you sign an agreement, it's pretty much null and void, and you have to find a different way of financing the solar equipment, and probably different equipment too. So you have to work with your dealer. What will happen with my SunPower warranty? We're still waiting for some of the dust to settle on this, but so far Enphase has said that if your SunPower system has Enphase microinverters, that Enphase will warranty those. I would assume that Maxeon will warranty their solar panels if that's a brand solar panel you have, although they haven't confirmed that. I think the biggest risk is more the labor and the workmanship warranty. Again, we'll just have to kind of see where the dust settles. I don't know if Complete Solaria will take on those responsibilities or not. We'd have to see. So just stand by. But if you have a problem, I would still reach out to your SunPower dealer. So I hope you found this video helpful. Solar by Green Greg here, and on this channel we cover home solar PV and battery, solar pool heating, and energy efficiency. You know, I've been in the solar industry now for 17 years. So I know the tips and the tricks, but you know, I'm also a homeowner just like you. And I know how it is. You know, sometimes you're just trying to get honest information. If that's you, you're just looking for information, hey, you're in the right spot. Go ahead, hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe. See you next video.